episode on mental moments where small changes can make big ripples. And we've been talking about anger, and I'm going to continue to do so in this episode. This example is kids. I can always use kids. They're so easy to see because they're so black and white, so concrete. Okay, on a playground when they say, "You're dumb, you're an idiot," and then go back and forth and call each other names, all sorts of things. And then the kids coming in, "Oh, she hurt my feelings." Okay, now that's just typical name calling. As adults, when we're angry, we may definitely do name calling as well. And then we say, but I was justified and say something because they called me this, so, okay, we're going to play with that a little bit. Does name calling actually lead to upset? Okay, this is a trick question. If you've been with me through where emotions come from, you're going to know the answer, but I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to give up the little secret. Hopefully you'll go look for the emotion videos, and then you can learn about all the videos where our emotions come from. Okay, so it isn't the name calling. I'm just going to say, okay? So if somebody calls you a name, and then all of a sudden you're upset. You say, they called me a name, therefore I'm upset. Now, let me ask you this. If you were just walking down the street and somebody drove by and cussed and called a bad name to you, would that upset you? Probably not, because you don't know the person. Who cares? Now, if it was your partner, your child, your mother, father, loved one, somebody very close to you, a good friend, and they called you a name, would you be upset? It's not 100% likely, but many of us would say, well, yeah, I'd be pretty upset. If they loved me and they call me that name, I'd just be off. Yeah, I get really mad about that. Okay. Well, we're going to play. We're going to do an experiment here. Okay. If words literally have meanings. Okay, take back to this experiment. Okay, let's. Yeah. I don't like any of this. Okay, name calling. Let's say you're walking. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Let's say you're walking along the sidewalk and somebody drives by that you don't know and they call you a loser. You're gonna be upset? Okay. Now, what if that was, you're staying, in the house and your best friend, your mother, your father, a partner, a child, somebody important to you, somebody very close to you, and they said, "You're a loser." Would you be upset? No. Most people, when I ask this question, in the first example, they say, "Well, no." And the second one, they'd be like, "Well, yes." I'm like, "Why?" Well, I don't know those people, but these people that are, like my mother, father, etc., they're important to me. I know them. Well, if somebody calls you a name, and you're upset in one situation and not the other, what difference does relativity make? So it isn't the word itself. Interesting. It's the meaning we assign to that word. Now, sometimes we assign that meaning based on the relative closeness of someone who says it. So, somebody that's closer to us, we put more stock in it. But again, we're putting the stock in it. Okay, so we're going to do an experiment. Ready for this? Okay, if words have meanings, and meanings you have to act on them, I'm going to give you a word. And when I give you that word, I call you this name, you have to become this name. Okay? Here we go. Ready for that? Here's the word. You are Spider-Man. Okay, spinning any webs? No, not at all. Okay, this was a tongue-in-cheek example, but it's just to illustrate that when we're the ones that add meanings. Because say a word like loser, somebody calls you a loser, that means one who loses. I don't know if you lose keys or lose at volleyball or lose at poker. I don't know what you lose at, but it means one who loses. And what we mean is a negative connotation. It's definitely a negative word. Okay, now If I take it negatively, it's because I've assigned a meaning to it. See what I'm saying? The person can intend it as mean. And then if I take it as mean, that's on me. I'm taking it. I'm the one adding the meaning. Okay, so it isn't the word itself, it's the meaning. Now we may add the meaning because of the person in front of us, if they're important, what level of importance. If work situation where we have a boss says something, well, that's an unequal. So that might, we may assign a different meaning. If it's a loved one, we may have assigned a different meaning. And then when we take it, but remember, we're assigning the meanings. So whatever somebody calls us, unless I am one who loses, then it's an inaccurate statement. I'm not going to assign meaning to it. Something to think about. All righty. Thank you. And join us again for another episode of Anger